Hey everyone, Daniel here, and welcome to this episode of Talking Insomnia. I'm super excited because with us we have Joanna Kippox, who I believe is a real insomnia head. That's my nickname for somebody who's really, really interested and knowledgeable when it comes to this subject. So, Joanna, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's very exciting. This is a first for me, so I'm really, really excited about it. Thank you.
So this is the first time you're guesting a podcast?
Yes, it is.
All
Yeah,
right.
it is a first. Yeah.
I have a feeling it won't be the last.
Well, that's kind of you.
So Jenna, as I ask most of my guests here, do tell us what your background is and how you get into helping people with trouble sleeping.
Yes, of course. Okay, well, I am a nurse and I've been nursing for nearly 35 years now. My previous job was in mental health. So I've been working for the last 10 years in a child and adolescent mental health team. And I was the ADHD nurse specialist there. So I used to see all the children with ADHD. And so for the last 10 years, I've been working with these children who traditionally don't sleep very well. So I got really, really interested in, why they weren't sleeping, how we could improve their sleep, because it makes just the most enormous difference to their families, and to their learning as well. So I work closely with them. Then 2 years ago, I left that job and did some specialist training to be a sleep practitioner, and learned all my CBDI sort of skills. And now I've set up a little company, as only me, but hopefully it will grow one day. But and I just see what the clients one-to-one with insomnia, and I also do sleep workshops as well for as sort of part of a well-being strategy for a workplace, just to really spread the word about sleep and that you can actually improve it. And I think so many people tend to think that they just don't sleep well and they've got to put up with it, and so that, it's just something that they can't do anything about, and that really couldn't be further from the truth. So that's my aim, and that's where I'm heading. So yeah, I really enjoy it. It's all good fun.
Excellent. And how did you come? Was it as part of becoming a sleep practitioner that you learned about CBTI?
Yes, that was part of it. But I've also done some a CBTI course with Professor Jason Ellis, who's a sleep professor in, he's based in Northumbria in England, and I think he links in with is it Dr. Michael Perlis in Pennsylvania, I think.
Right.
So yeah. So that they run a course sort of jointly. So I went on that course a while ago, and they taught me all the skills that I know. So it's really good fun, and I really enjoy it, and it makes just such a difference when you can get somebody sleeping. Nothing better. So yeah.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get to that in a second here. I just had one more question. Do you see clients only locally, or do you do like Skype and things like that as well?
At the moment, I just see clients locally. Actually, I haven't headed into the world of Skype yet. Maybe after I've got brave after this podcast, I might think about it. But yeah, I haven't done as yet. But I think that seems to be the way your services in America seem to work best, is it? Or through Zoom meetings and online?
I feel like the people I connected with here that are doing this type of work almost all have some type of like either over the phone consultations or Skype consultations.
Right.
Of that nature, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's the way to go, isn't it? Really, I think I need to get myself together.
All right, very well. So now, as I shared with you, I like to ask my podcast guests here that are experts in the field, what is your insomnia insight?
Right. Well, there's a few sort of things I think to start with. I mean, I think actually setting some understanding the client's goals. I think that's really, really important. Where are they heading? What are they really hoping for? And setting some really realistic goals and managing expectations. I mean, for example, a lot of clients I find don't actually understand that it's actually normal to wake, and it, helping them to sort of realize that actually waking is part of a normal pattern of sleep, and actually that's okay. And if you can just relax and be aware of that, and then you're more likely to fall back to sleep. I think that's really, really important. And also, sleep it's not something you can sort of control and tweak, but understanding that it does actually take time to change any sort of bodily habit. I mean, say for example, if you're going to go to the gym, you wouldn't expect to go to a gym and get on some equipment and then get off and you're fit. The expectation is that it takes a bit of time, and it takes a little bit of effort and a little bit of work. But also with sleep, you have got the sort of the opposite side of the coin, that you don't really need to work. You need to relax, and you need to just enjoy the idea of sleep and enjoy sort of that sleepy feeling coming. I think one thing also that I've learned actually quite recently, which I found really helpful for especially my older clients, is an optician friend of mine has informed me very reliably that the retina of a 60-year-old person only receives a third of the light that a 20-year-old receives. And so it's so important to actually get in, for older people to get exposed to that light, especially early in the morning, just to set the body clock. But also that they need more light than they perhaps would have done when they were younger. So it's been a real sort of key for some of my clients who've used daylight lamps, because over here in our British weather, we've got grey skies and lots of rain at the moment, so it's pretty ghastly. So that they're using a daylight lamp just to really boost their light exposure first thing in the morning. And that's actually really, really helped quite a few clients just recently. So I thought I would share that with you. But I don't know, do you suffer from a lack of light over in America?
When you describe the weather, I think it's not that different from actually Oregon, Northwest here this time of year. So I think that
Sure.
light is very helpful to us here as well. And which was I love how you went in the direction of light is your friend.
Yes, very definitely. Absolutely, definitely.
Because you kind of know where I'm going with that, right? Is a lot of people feel light is not your friend.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. And actually, even in the evenings, I've had older clients who have been able to use light in the evenings. And traditionally we always say, you should shield your eyes from the light in the evenings, and this is sort of feels like the complete opposite sort of advice. And I think it's quite good to be clear when it's a good idea and when it isn't. But for older people, I've had clients who are going to bed really, really early, and then they're going to bed at sort of 9 o'clock in the evening, and they're sleeping through till 4 o'clock and thinking, gosh, this is I'm waking early. Well, actually, when you look at it, that's 7 hours of sleep. When you're in your 80s, 7 hours of sleep straight off is pretty good going, really. So we've used a daylight lamp in the evening just to delay their melatonin release, so that it comes on a little bit later, so they go to bed later, and they can go to bed now sort of 10:30, and then sleep in just that little bit later on, so they're getting the same amount of sleep, but it's just the hours are just sort of shifted around a little bit. And so light is definitely a friend. It's not something it's something that we should welcome, especially, as I say, in the morning. Yeah.
And let me ask you a question on that topic. If you have one of these clients, they go to bed very, very early, and you say, well, you can expose yourself to light actually in the evening. What do you advise them anything in particular they should be doing kind of as they expose themselves to more light in the evening?
No, not so much. I mean, not too much exercise. I think, yeah, it would just be just sitting maybe quietly in the evenings, just either watching telly or doing whatever they want to do, reading or whatever. But it is just exposing themselves just to that bit of light, so it shifts their body clock just that little bit, so that they can move their sleep instead of waking at 4:30, which makes quite a long day. That they're able then to wake at 6, say, for example, if they're able to just sort of wait just a little bit longer before they go to bed. And that can really help, because they haven't, I've had a client who was 83 who said he had insomnia because he's waking at 4 o'clock every morning. And actually, when we unpicked it, he really didn't. He was sleeping, as I say, from 9:30 in the evening, and he just needed to just tweak that sort of sleep time just a little bit. And yeah, it can be really effective. So maybe that's useful. I'm not sure.
No, absolutely. I think what you're describing is, I think, very common, as you say, in the elderly, is this like advanced sleep phase where, everything is earlier. And then I can totally see how it's, the key thing is to get them actually to go to bed later.
Sure.
So that could be really helpful for that side. And do you find yourself, is that a big group of the clients you see, or maybe elderly?
A proportion, not in a huge group, but it is a proportion of people. And I think also it's important for staff to be aware who are caring for the elderly as well, who maybe they're in nursing homes or residential homes, or I'm not sure what you would call them in America, but they're just sort of old people's homes, as it were, and sometimes you walk in, they're really dimly lit, and it's just a little bit of extra light could really help those sleep problems. I think it could really make quite a difference to their sleep, because I mean, quite a lot of those elderly people are given sleeping tablets and medication to help them sleep, and you think, oh, actually, could we just support them with a little bit more light, just to reset their body clocks a bit more effectively, rather than reaching for medication, which is really not going to help them out at all. But
absolutely. Yeah. And sorry to interrupt a little bit, but I feel like you probably recognize this when you talk to some of the elderly. It is almost that, like, there's no contrast between their night and day in a way.
Completely.
Right? They're inside, they're not doing that much. They may be napping throughout the day. They're not sleeping that well at night. And I feel like not only the light during the day is important, but the contrast from like getting outside, exposing yourself.
Absolutely.
To it, right?
Yeah. And also, in addition to that, some movement and some exercise.
Exactly.
Because if they're unable to maybe walk or go outside, there's still so much that could be done with just sort of low key sort of exercises that are done by visitors or staff or whatever. But it seems a very bland and sort of grey environment, doesn't it? I don't wish to be harsh. This is true of all of most of our homes. I think it's only because I think there's a sort of a caring element that we want to make it comfortable and not too strenuous maybe, but actually by doing that we're slightly upsetting their body clock, and we need to be just a little bit sort of clearer about, as you say, day is day and night is night, and avoiding light actually at night as well, you know, making it really, really dark, rather than having lots of sort of subdued lighting on, which again is not helpful, I don't think, really, for our body clock. So yeah, I think it's quite a sort of an issue, really. But
It's interesting how this conversation uh, uh, in the direction it went, meaning we're both very much into helping people with trouble sleeping, but we found ourselves mostly talking about the day here,
yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Which I think
Yeah,
is so
yeah,
important, actually. I want to hear your comments on this, but my thinking is, people that have trouble sleeping really want to focus on the night. Like, how can I sleep more? How can I stop
yeah, yeah,
waking up,
yeah,
etc.
yeah.
But actually, it's almost more important to focus on the day.
100%, absolutely. I heard a really lovely. It was actually a business entrepreneur talking about business planning, and it was online. I think it was an Australian guy called Glenn Carson, I think his name was. Anyway, he was sort of encouraging people to do this plan where you have three columns. You have a do column, things to do, things to build, so things to sort of you know slightly change, and things to stop. And I thought, gosh, actually, I could use that with clients. What could we encourage clients to do more of? What do they need to sort of grow and build on? But there are also things to stop. And I think one of those things that you put it, I mean, every client's going to have different sort of goals and things they want to put in those columns. But actually, spending so much time thinking about your night activity is something that a lot of clients would probably put in their stop column, I think.
Absolutely.
Because yeah, it is so much more about growing, your activity in the day, or growing your not stopping doing things that insomnia tells you to stop. Carry on with doing everything that you want to do. So growing your contacts, growing your activity, growing, getting out and about, etc. So yeah, I thought that was quite a useful sort of analogy, really. But so I hope that can be of
No,
use to
that was a
somebody.
good. Yeah, I like it a lot. Very very practical and like very doable. Absolutely. And now a follow up to this one, which I would like to ask you your thoughts on is, a lot of people do realize that they are kind of obsessing about sleep, but they like,
Mm.
I can't stop thinking about. What is your advice to, or your thoughts on, like, somebody says, how do I stop thinking so much about it?
That that's quite a hard one, isn't it? Actually, because
Right?
I've got a client at the moment who is in exactly that sort of situation, and we're just sort of trying to really move her away from obsessing about it. Really, I mean, she said that those were her words herself. She said she was just completely obsessed about it. I mean, what I've done with her is I've suggested, and I don't know whether it'll work or not, but I've suggested that she actually factors in some worry time. So, throughout her day, each time she thinks, oh my goodness, I can't do this because I am not going to be able to sleep, or, I can't arrange anything. She won't arrange sort of meeting a friend because she might be tired, etc. Said, okay, well, maybe just in your diary, just think, okay, I'm going to have an hour in the morning, or maybe an hour in the afternoon, and I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to worry about sleep then. And if I catch myself, catch yourself worrying at other times, and think, no, 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 write it down, write a note yourself about what you were going to worry about, and then put it into schedule it into your worry time during the day. And so it becomes contained. It's not a endless sort of source of worry. It's just, okay, it's a it's a more, just a more contained sort of time that you could actually spend time thinking about it. I mean, I gave her a book to read on sleep, and I sort of tossed and turned. I thought, is this a good idea? Is this not? And we talked about it at length of whether she, she sort of said, look, if I take this book, I'm reading about it. I'm going to be thinking about it even more. And actually, she gave me the book back, and she gave it back to me, and she said, no. I'm reading too much about it. I'm thinking even more. So no, take your book. Thank you very much. But have your book back. And I was so pleased with that, because I just said, absolutely. So she is aware that she's doing it. So anyway, she's going to try this worry time, and see if that works. But have you got any golden tips for that one? I'd be grateful to hear them.
The one you brought up, I think that's amazing. That I think having some set time to kind of contain the worry is really good. The one I mostly turn to in that one is telling people that you cannot control your thoughts and feelings, and that the key is in the doing. That just focus on, again, kind of like what we talked about before, activity, like do things that you enjoy. Sure, and do a lot of it, and that will kind of shift your attention in a different direction.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's an interesting idea, really, because I asked her, I saw her last week, and I asked her actually over Christmas, being a really, really busy time with family and whatever, did she spend as much time worrying about her insomnia over Christmas? And she went, oh no, I just didn't have time, and you just think, perfect, lovely. That's exactly it, isn't it?
And did she find then that she actually did sleep better over the Christmas period?
Yeah, interestingly enough, she had a time when her sleep has definitely improved, for sure. I mean, she was on some nights previously she wasn't getting a sleep at all, and now she's up to sort of about 5-6 hours a night. So she's definitely
much better.
She's absolutely improving. But it was only on Christmas Eve that she didn't sleep, and she said that she didn't sleep at all on Christmas Eve, and that was in anticipation to meeting relatives the next day. And we looked at that, and you think, well, actually, that type of not sleeping is again perfectly normal. When you're a little bit sort of anxious about an event, or anxious about meeting somebody, or you've got a lot on, to not sleep well in that context is part of a normal sleep experience, isn't it, really? So I think she was a little bit more reassured by that actually a lot of people perhaps wouldn't have slept that well, with all that activity going on. So it normalizes things, doesn't it? And it's just so important, I think, to normalize our clients' experience.
Absolutely. And that took me in a direction of, sometimes you have these people you're caring for, and coaching and whatnot, and they reach a point where they have trouble sleeping before a big event, but otherwise are doing well, and they're looking to, like, how can I get past this? And then you almost want to say, there's nothing left. You're quote unquote normal. It is completely normal, right?
Absolutely. It's our cognitive sort of there's a cognitive override there, isn't there? That our brain, it is normal to be a little bit sort of wary and a bit anxious if you have a lot going on, and that's how our brains protect us. I mean, it is a protective mechanism, isn't it, to prepare us for what we're going into. So that is 100% okay. And yeah, that's really, really important for clients to actually remember that, I think, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. Let me take
Mm.
you back to one of the first things you said was you when you work with clients, kind of the first thing you do is get a sense of kind of their goals, expectations. What do you find are the most kind of unrealistic expectations or unrealistic goals that people have?
Um, well, have had quite a few quite unrealistic goals, actually. I mean, from the point of view that quite a few people anticipate that after they've had a consultation, that that I will fix them and they'll go home and they'll sleep, and you know yeah, a little bit have to sort of manage that and just think this is going to take time. This is not not an easy sort of fix necessarily. It may be, may not be. And yeah, just to understand that there may be things that we need to change, and are they prepared to change that? Some people aren't, and you have to sort of run with that a little bit and just think, okay, well, if you don't want to change certain things, then we just have to manage to not sleep. I don't know. I think there is it is very much helping people. I think that first session of sort of sleep education, of what can we expect, what do we want our sleep to do, what physiologically is our sleep going to, what does it want, and if we give our bodies what it wants, then we're much more likely to get to sleep. And if we're not prepared to make those changes and give them what we want, then maybe we just sort of ride the consequences. But that sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it?
No, but
really mean.
I completely understand what you're talking about here, because I think it's very important to know that if you're not willing to change, or not at least willing to try to change things, then you are not going to sleep better.
Absolutely. I mean, this analogy of the gym, I think, is actually
Yeah.
quite a useful one. You don't walk into a gym and look at the gym equipment and think, fantastic, I am just in such good shape now. I'm super fit. I look amazing. And just because you've learned a little bit more about the gym equipment, I mean,
Right.
it is. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Okay, no,
I'd be
absolutely.
delighted. Yeah. But yeah, that there is a little bit of effort. It's a bizarre business, because there's more effort in some respects, but less effort in other
Exactly.
ways.
Exactly right. And speaking of, like, a little bit more, practical thing here for listeners, maybe, when I say, one of the most common things I find that where people ask me, like, how can I change this? And I get kind of resistance, etc., is when I tell people, well, you have to get out of bed this time, and you can't
Yeah,
oversleep and sleep during the day. And then some people are asking me, like, so how do I do that? Like, how can I make sure I wake up at 7 a.m.? And then that's the point where I'm like, well, this is where, you have to you just have to do it, like, you have to come up with a way of
absolutely.
waking yourself up.
Yeah. And that's not a particularly popular message, that one, is it? But it is so important. It is just key to the whole process, isn't it, really? Is that waking up at the same time every day, even at the weekends, even in holiday times, even just really trying to just set your body clock. And once you get, maybe the problem is resolved, you can be more flexible, maybe.
Exactly.
But to start with, it is, if I try and encourage people to actually think, okay, this is a treatment. Okay, this is maybe not something that you'll have to do forever, but at this moment in time, it's a bit like taking antibiotics. If you have an infection and you're given antibiotics to stop the infection, you you are told to take the whole course. You don't stop halfway, because otherwise it will come back. And it's a similar sort of analogy. This is a short-term treatment, and if you can grit your teeth and just go for it, just think, I am going to do this, I'm going to crack this, then maybe in a month or so's time, or however long you can, then you can extend those extend your waking time and be a little bit more flexible and malleable about the whole thing. But to start with, this is the way it's got to be, isn't it, really? So but it does sound harsh.
Absolutely. Well, I think I have a thought to share with you that almost like summarizes, what we talked about here, which is, we talked about a lot about how, the day is more important really than the night, that it's kind of like a gym, you have to put in work, but you also have to, not put in effort, etc. So I'm thinking, it's almost like this, that all the work is about the day, like getting up early, being active, expose yourself to light. That is the work. When it comes to nighttime, it's the complete opposite. That's when you don't put in any work. That's when it becomes completely passive.
Absolutely. And that is very much that's part of our normal day-to-day activity, isn't it?
Right?
Do you know?
Exactly.
Do you know? During the day you work, during the night you rest, and
Yes.
we need to sort of treat our bodies in exactly the same way. We can't expect a working mind to be going to sleep. I mean, you just have to switch your mind off before your body goes off, don't you, really? And just really sort of wind down and stop stop the activity, just exactly as you would in a physical sort of way. So yeah, it's it all seems so simple, but it's such a
Right, but
hard
it's
thing
not
for
right,
people to
because
do.
I know, like, people that are listening here,
They must be
as you're
hating
saying
us.
that, well, maybe not, but I think I know what they're going to be thinking. How do I shut off my mind? Right?
Yes,
That's going to be the question.
yes,
And then I
yes.
always go, the way I go with that one is like, well, you can't literally shut your mind off. You have to kind of do something that you enjoy still, that shifts your mind away. But that's, just thought about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That is such a tricky one, isn't it? How do you switch your mind off?
Yeah.
It's something that's I think there's lots of different techniques for that. I mean, certainly, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think whatever it is, it's got to work for the client, isn't it? It's only something that they will find for themselves. But I mean, some people play, just have games maybe that you think of cities of the same letter of the alphabet, for example, and you can, it's enough sort of stimulation to distract your mind from worrying, but it's boring enough to not get too sort of into it,
Engaged.
really. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
but then for the next client, that's not going to work. So it really has to be whatever suits them. I mean, I had a client who sort of used to make up stories, just children's, and he was in his mid sort of 70s, and he just would make up sort of like children's stories, just to try and distract himself, and then would just sort of quietly nod off after that. And he used to find that really quite helpful. But then for another younger person, maybe a couple of the teenagers that I've had, there's no way you could get them to do that. So
Right.
it's got to be suitable for each individual person, hasn't it? It really has. It's yeah, a very personal thing, I think, that one.
Absolutely. All right. I usually do this, about 30 minutes. So I think we can wrap up here, and it was super nice talking. And by the way, or anything you want to add?
And no, it's just really good to have a chat. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. It's
No.
not as scary as I thought. So yeah, I'm very proud of
Right.
myself. We thinking beforehand, actually. We do get our clients, don't we, to do things that make
Right.
them anxious. you know, and makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable. And I just thought, well, actually, come on, you know, I need to be taking my own medicine here, and then, you know, just trying it out. So it's good just to push yourself a little bit, isn't it? And just sort of feel a little bit anxious. And so, yeah, it's been very good for me. So thank you for pushing me.
100%. Really nice having you. And you take care now.
Okay, cheerio then. Thank you.